1, 2, hello? Hey everybody. Hello. I'm back. I didn't get to introduce myself earlier, and I'm not going to right now. Instead, I'm going to introduce this fine fellow to my left. The man who's been DJing for us today is producer, drummer, 8-time beat battle champion. And have y'all been enjoying the tunes at all? Yeah? No? So, yeah, collaborator, friend. We've been working together on a project called Beat Making Lab. What else can I say about this man? He's a yogi. He's a surfer and Ayurvedic spiritual healer man. And you can hear and feel that through the beats. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about our work today, but first I just wanted you to know. Stephen Levitin, a.k.a. Apple Juice Kid. Welcome.
All right, I guess we'll share a mic. So I would like to introduce my good friend, Pierce Freelon. He is a professor at UNC Chapel Hill, as well as some other places. He teaches in the African Studies Department. He's also the lead of a band called The Beast. Has anyone heard The Beast in here? So for all the people from out of town, this is a very vibrant music scene, and Pierce's band, The Beast, is a band that combines hip hop and jazz, and I've worked with them. He also comes from an amazing family. His mother is Nina Freelon, who's a 6-time Grammy-nominated jazz singer. His father, his father's Phil Freelon, sister Maya Freelon. Yeah, so no, but we have a partnership called Artivism, merging the worlds of art and activism. Our baby is called Beat Making Lab, which builds and trains youth in electronic music production, donates musical equipment, and we've been here since the very beginning of SwitchPoint.
All right, so thank you for introducing my whole family. That was very nice. So we want to, as Stephen mentioned, we were here at the very first SwitchPoint, and SwitchPoint really helped launch Beat Making Lab into something that started kind of as a local experiment and something that's, been a global phenomenon. So every year we've come and we've talked about progress that Beat Making Lab has had and the switch points that we've made through this conference. So we want to share kind of a new video to kind of show you where we're at now that talks a little bit about where Beat Making Lab came from and the work that we're doing right here in the Chapel Hill community. Please. Okay, so we're here at the Court Building on Franklin Street in Chapel Hill. My name is Pierce Freelon, and this is my homeboy Stephen Levitin, aka Apple Juice Kid, and we're here doing a beat making lab in the basement of the courthouse.
Yeah, we both went to school right across the street at UNC Chapel Hill in the great state of North Carolina. We were both born and raised. We've been traveling all over the world with this beat making lab.
Where we been?
Panama, Fiji, Senegal, just got back from Kenya. It's basically a portable electronic music studio, and we teach youth and community centers how to make beats.
So here's our new community center. It's called the Teen Center, and it's underneath the courthouse. And we met these two amazing young men, Khalil and Coleman.
People always think that we change clothes or had the same classroom, but a teacher said, "Why are you in this classroom again?" I'll be like, "Oh, snap. You must have met my twin brother then." And they'd be like, "What?" I have a mole on my face. My brother have a mole, I don't. He's smaller. He's a little bit bigger than me. My brother is like an inch smaller than me, kind of taller than me. I don't know why. Making music is like making life. You telling people like a story about your life through music, and you actually touch people. You know, you gotta find the hits, melodies, chorus, verses. I wish we would be at the beat making lab all the time.
What if we did like a Moral Mondays project where we went to Raleigh on Monday and collected sounds from that Moral Monday?
You're happy you went home sleeping like a baby. What sound would you make then? Any sound. Yeah. Yeah. If you had to express that by sound, what sound would you make? Ooh.
We was visiting our mom, and she was gone for a while, probably like a week or so. One night she came walking up the door. I heard heavy breathing. She told me to get the inhaler. I got it for her because I thought she was having an asthma attack. It turns out to be she was having a heart attack, and I didn't know. So. We gotta pull our weight. Sometimes our sister weight. Sometimes I wash the dishes, take out the trash, or clean up the bathroom. And Con sometimes wash the dishes, take out the trash, or clean up the bathroom. It looks like she can handle it because I know her, she's tough. But me and Con need like cooperate with her more. You know what I mean? Music. It's a really nice break from all that stuff. B-Lab is the #1 thing to get into. At first, I thought it would be hard, but it turns out it was easy for the both of us. It was pretty awesome. I mean, shoot, we get all these new things that I haven't seen before, and we just play with it, like,
So, what I want to make us do is going to be a repeat for our UNC students, but I'll probably think of some new stuff.
Aperture's kid, he looks like he's the wise person, like you cannot get him angry. He's the type of guy that shares some of his knowledge with anybody else. The Apple Juice Kid is really, really awesome though. Pierce is like a brother to us. He is an MC. Something tells me that I want to be like Pierce, like an MC. No, I just gotta practice on my rhymes.
Me and CJ and Rockin' trying to show y'all how we unearth the jam. Trying to give y'all a whole new possible. Trying to show y'all how.
I wish I could be like them. Help people understand about beat making lab. Once we learn how to produce our own music, teach other people on how to make their own music. You get one thing from somebody, then they pass it on, then you pass it on to the next person. It's like that teaching knowledge and skill keeps going.
Next episode, Khalil and Coleman sample sounds from the NC State Fair and create a song about North Carolina with some of our state's most accomplished musicians. Okay, thank you. So, a little more context for that video. Beat Making Lab, in addition to being a community program that we've taken all over the world and that just started in Chapel Hill this summer, or last summer, it's also a web series with PBS. And to give you just a brief overview of what some of our SwitchPoints have been and continue to be, how we got introduced to PBS was through a connection we made here at SwitchPoint in 2012. There was Casey from Good Magazine was here. We posted our video on their platform, and PBS found us through that platform. Some of our very first beat-making labs in Senegal and Ethiopia were here in partnership with IntraHealth, and with people that we met here like Speak Up Africa, who there's a representative from Speak Up Africa here today. We partnered with them when we were in Senegal. So earlier this morning when I was kind of like, find somebody in the room and do your little, connect with them, I really mean that. It's very important that you meet somebody, find somebody that you don't know, find out what they're into, what they're doing. And as I said in the beginning, there are unusual collaborations all around us. All you have to do is introduce yourself to the people around you and find out what's up with them, what they're into. So real quick, we just want to share two recent SwitchPoints since last year that have happened. The first was our collaboration in Ethiopia.
Yes, so we did an entire beat-making lab with IntraHealth in Ethiopia. They also brought, yes? We have a series of videos, like Pierce said, we released them on our PBS YouTube channel, so if you want to go check the Ethiopia episodes out. We made a beat, a health worker beat. We did a site visit and sampled the sounds of what health workers do. We also got invited to go to the Gates International Conference on Family Planning, and so we went back to Ethiopia for a second time, had all of our students come and perform, and we also did a workshop at the conference where we took students from all over the world that were selected and made a song called Future Planning. So Laura Homeke, one of IntraHealth's team, she came up with a brilliant idea. Instead of engaging youth, so let's talk about family planning. We decided, or Laura suggested, to call it Future Planning, which was really effective, and we still covered a lot of the important issues through that lens. So that's just one of the creative ways that Beat Making Lab has partnered and a SwitchPoint directly from here.
All right, and another SwitchPoint that we made when we were here on the stage last year talking about our work, there was a fellow. I was going to say fellow. People don't say fellow anymore. It's a nice way to refer to someone. A chap. Thank you. Pop said a chap. Okay, so we met a chap from the Rockefeller Foundation, and his name was Carl Brown, and he saw our presentation, and he had an unusual idea. It was, how could beat making help us build community and create jobs in Africa? And he had this idea about they were doing computer trainings and trying to get young people excited about learning how to use computers. How do you do that? How do you get a bunch of kids to come to a typing class? That was the kind of question he was wrestling with. But when he saw our beat making lab curriculum and the way that kind of youth are drawn to the arts, he approached us here, right on the deck out there, this time exactly last year, and said, I want to talk to you guys, I want to build with you guys. So we went to New York and met with him there, and we went to the front desk, and Apple Juice Kid says, we have a meeting with the Rockefeller Foundation. Okay, now Rockefeller is like Jay-Z, the hip hop record label. It's Rockefeller. It's very embarrassing, but it was all good because we met with them and we were able to build with them, and we've got it's not like we haven't signed anything with them yet, but there's proposals and relationships being built on foundations and seeds that were planted in this very Sacs-Bahalian space. So again, just as much as we can, SwitchPoint, we just want you to connect with everybody around you. So with that being said, our very next SwitchPoint now moving forward, that's kind of a recap of what our past year has been like since last year's SwitchPoint. We have a new SwitchPoint that we're going to debut for you today, and that's what happens when you take beats and poetry and puppets and you mash it all together to talk about health and senior citizens and international conflict. Who knows what's going to happen? It should be very interesting. But to talk a little more about that, I'd like to invite up my homies, Will McInerney and Kane Smigo of the Sacrificial Poets. Get on up here, guys. Get your button-ups.
How's everybody doing? Good. It is a true honor to be here. My name is Will McInerney, and I'm the Executive Director of Sacrificial Poets.
I'm Kane Smigo, and I'm the Artistic Director of Sacrificial Poets. We are a nonprofit organization based out of the Triangle area, and we teach spoken word poetry, the art form, from elementary all the way up through college age, not only as an art form, but also as a tool to help empower young people, give them a space and tools with which to tell their own story in their own words. And that's kind of the work that we've been doing for about the last 6 or 7 years here locally.
As Kane said, we view poetry not just as an art form. Poetry is beautiful, poetry is aesthetic, it has a lot of intrinsic qualities to it, but we also crucially believe, and our organization is founded on the principle, that poetry is a means towards empowerment, that artistic expression is an element of agency. And over the past few years, we've been building this organization from the ground up. We started hosting community events that consisted of a crowd the size of about Kane and myself, along with a couple other people. So to be here in front of you all today is an extreme honor and credit to the army of folks that work with us and the community that has supported us. Today we reach around 10,000 youth every year across North Carolina, and we provide in-school, after-school, and out-of-school programming. In addition, we've had the blessing and the privilege to travel overseas and to spread the idea of poetry as empowerment, particularly in the Middle East and North Africa. We've run poetry as a means of nonviolent resistance workshops in the Palestinian West Bank. We've documented the ongoing popular movements across North Africa through a fusion of poetry, storytelling, photography, and videography. And most recently, we traveled to the Turkish-Syrian border and documented the ongoing struggles and resilience of the folks, the men, the women, and the children there. Ultimately, we believe that storytelling and story sharing is a form of diplomacy, that stories are the core of the human experience, and politics and facts and statistics and critical analysis are very important to understanding complex global issues, but at the same time, we would offer that we believe that human stories, emotions, experiences, feelings also are part of that conversation. And if we choose to neglect the human element of conflict, the human element of complex global issues, then we miss the point and we don't see the larger picture. So Sacrificial Poets is dedicated both on a local and a global level to providing an opportunity for all people, young and old, to share their stories, to empower themselves, and to use their artistic expression as an element of their own agency. We're honored to be here today. We're really excited about the beat-making, poetry, and puppeteering mashup. And so without further ado, we're going to introduce the last partner, Donovan from Paper Hand Puppets. Clap it up for Donovan, guys.
Hello, everyone. Should I point this?
No, it's okay, I'll do it.
Sorry. There it is. I'm the artistic director of Paper Hand Puppet Intervention, and we are based right here in Sacrificial. We're just right over the river, and maybe you are going to do a micro lab in there. We're going to be doing one later this afternoon. And I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce you all to our work a little bit. So I just wanted to, I guess, click through a few of our hyper-expanded images as they appear on this screen, and just show you some of the things that we've been creating over the years. We make these giant puppets out of paper mache, cardboard, other recycled materials, and we put together these giant pageants that are spectacles for all ages to come and enjoy. And there's live music, but as Will and Kane were saying, it does take a lot of hands and hearts to put together work like this on this scale. And so we work with lots of kids and volunteers and youth to do a lot of paper macheing. We lead giant parades and try to bring a celebratory effectiveness and just a straight up awesome to people's event. And we make giant beautiful birds that sometimes fly through Sacrificial or at weddings. They appear all over the place, and we tell stories that range from some of the oldest stories that we have in human history to trying to create the new story of what we're looking to find together as humans progress forward. We make unreasonably giant puppets that take 50 people to carry sometimes. And we sometimes do commissions. This is a dragon we made for the Carolina Ballet. And these are some of the masks that you're going to see us performing with today. And we sometimes make goats and boats afloat. Using the idea of tapping into story and that tapestry that is created by the human condition of our stories woven together. This is a paper cut shadow. We also use shadow puppets as well as masked and giant puppets to illustrate these stories. And some of our most recent work, and some of our friendly faces that help make all this happen. And I just wanted to introduce myself, and I guess the switch point would be that I'm interested in talking to anyone who's interested in taking the idea of creating these stories and spectacles with giant puppets, masks, still walking, shadows, all of the things that we've been putting together over the years, and doing it as a residency collaboration in a place, in some place in the world that I would like to go to, and that, just saying, if you want to hire us to go there and do that, I'm available for conversations. And without any further ado, I would like to now present to you the collaboration between Beatmaking Lab, the Sacrificial Poets, and Paper Hand. Thanks so much. Enjoy.
I went to Palestine to learn about death. I met Ibrahim. He's a short man, 5'5", maybe 5'7". His eyes are 2 cups of tea filled to the brim. He blinks slowly, like he's afraid to let them spill in front of company. He doesn't smile much. He's got knuckles calloused like the knots of olive tree trunks. Fair share of scars for show and tell. His fingers are cracked like the bent cigarette sticks. He slips between his lips. He's old, maybe 60, 65. It's hard to tell. His hair is a plume of hookah smoke disappearing into the Bethlehem breeze. There is beauty in these tethered ruins cascading from his scalp. It's strange how nature chooses which go and which stay. His hair is a metaphor for his own existence in this place. It's strange how nature chooses who goes and who stays. The only question is, who controls the wind these days? Ibrahim doesn't smile on the surface. Matter of fact, he doesn't speak much either. His tongue is a mason's trowel forged in a furnace of resistance. His lips, 2 brick walls battered in decades. On most days, this gate is padlocked in silence. His teeth are ivory tombstones erected from the sacred ground of his jaw. He knows what death tastes like, so when he utters a sound, each word rests in the mausoleum of his mouth. I came to Palestine to learn about death. But I met Ibrahim on one of our last nights I asked him from the balcony of his cramped refugee camp home, "Are you happy?" That was a stupid question. He said, "Yes, do you see this breath? Happiness is my choice," he points. "Are you happy?" I said, "I don't know." That was a stupid answer. I went to Palestine to learn about death, but I met Ibrahim. He only speaks what is important, so he speaks about life. Ibrahim ain't got time for death. He speaks of heartbeats and breath. Ibrahim, you are fear's obituary in the flesh, unafraid, a stoic pillar planted in a shifting Palestinian sand, a man with every reason to resent existence, but he didn't. Taught me what happiness looks like. I want to learn to smile like Ibrahim. Below the surface, forget a grin. I want my essence to curl into an arc. I want to learn to grab life with my hands, that my palms be stethoscopes, so the harder I work, the louder my heart. I want to learn to speak like Ibrahim. Hold my words intangibly tight, the way a newborn grips life, the way a poet holds a pen, the way the wind cradles a kite. Palestine is no fairy tale. If you want to learn about life, go to Bethlehem. Ask for a man with teacups for eyes and a funeral of a mouth. Sure, he knows what death tastes like, more than most. But a man rooted in olive trees, resilience, and hope taught me heartbeats, heartbeats, heartbeats.
There is a proverb from the Ashanti of Ghana that says, "The words from the mouth of an old man are better than an amulet." And I wish I'd gathered more from my grandfather before he passed. I used to drop my grandma off at the nursing home every day to see him, but I rarely stayed long. Couldn't stand the stench. It smelled like rotting knowledge. Sounded like over-medicated matriarchs learning to lean on metal walkers rather than human shoulders. Senior citizens, from senior, a Latin word that became sire, meaning your majesty. we no longer treat our old folks like royalty. My grandfather sat down in his throne one day and didn't notice the wheels that had been attached to the sides until they rolled him out of his palace and into the corner of a nursing home dining room. And I would sit with him some days, listening to discarded voices of wisdom scream, bingo! Like blasphemy. And the hell, where the only communion is coated pills and tap water. Most of these souls prefer euthanasia to the Eucharist anyways, and I have a confession. The other day I was driving, late for something less than important when sin spilled from my lips like, get the hell off the road, Grandpa! Tailgating a man I never knew, as if he didn't have enough to worry about with the Grim Reaper in his rear view, arthritis in his fingers, and a callus on his palm where his late wife's hand used to rest. Forgive me, and forgive us, for every time we mention the prevalence of Alzheimer's among the elderly when we are the ones who have forgotten. I have forgotten, so I'm trying to remember, Grandpa. Who held my hips when I was slowly picking my steps, trying to remember? Who cradled me in their arms when Pop would badmouth my mother, and I do sadly remember the day I carried my grandfather onto an airplane. And it was a crazy sensation, clutching the seed that held my recipe for creation, like Hercules hoisting a wounded Zeus over his shoulders, lightning bolts bleeding down his back, like the swallowed tears slipping down my throat, holding him in my arms like one of his battalion buddies. He survived World War II, but there are no kamikazes, no Nazis here. Just blank faces that do not see him, wearing his wrinkles like war paint, crow's feet like camouflage. It's no wonder you disappear here after 65, and they survive, clutching the oxygen tubes around their necks like dog tags, trying to hold on to their identities when they can no longer hold a 9 to 5, told their lives are worth less than the minimum wage. And this is our shame. I want to have a million sages exhale back into their tubes so we can store their respiration. Then distribute cans filled with carbon dioxide and compressed wisdom and spray some sense into this world like machine guns filled with pennies. And I would take hits of enlightenment daily. Would drive a little slower down the highway. Will once again call my elders sire. And for my grandfather, I'll crumple this poem into my palms, set fire to it, and lace the wind with a cremated blessing to keep your ashes company.